the mic is, yeah. Alright, thank you.
Give 2 minutes, Andy.
Alright. Cool.
Kita tunggu sebentar, kita tunggu yang hormat Menteri ya.
Okay, Datuk. Noted. Okay. Alright. Assalamualaikum Datuk Seri.
Assalamualaikum. Datuk Seri, thank you.
Okay. Perhaps
Hormat Pak Wan, Menteri yang hormat. So I think President,
can we start?
jadi I think we can proceed. Start Okay.
Alright. Thank you Datuk. Thank you very much Datuk. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me see it just gone. Alright, just hang on. Alright, Assalamualaikum dan good evening everybody. My name is Yusoff and my colleague from all the way from Port Dickson, Mr. Andy Chong. I would like to welcome everyone, all of us here to Clubhouse Road to Tourism Recovery. So, how are you, Andy?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the rooms.
How's things in Port Dickson?
Good. So far, so good. And I would like to special thanks to our Datuk Seri, Mohd Redzuan. Okay.
Alright. Okay, Andy, the objective of this club is to engage and to communicate and to listen the industry's point of view openly and positively without blaming each other. We don't want to blame each other. We want to be more. We want to move forward. We have to be positive. Make sure that we have all points. So
we're open for discussion. We're open for discussion and sharing ideas. And also as a disclaimer, it doesn't represent our clubs here. So just opinions, personal opinion, whatever. So we share all the ideas regarding tourism.
Yeah, fantastic, Andy. A little bit of housekeeping to those who are on stage. Please mute your microphone if you are not speaking, and if you want to speak, just unmute, and of course again mute your mic once you're done asking questions. Well, guys, sharing is caring. Therefore, please click the plus point. Click the plus point there. There's a plus. You can see the plus sign there. Click the plus sign, plus point, and invite all of your friends to tonight's session. And also, please follow the club so that we'll be able to be notified our next exciting event. And please follow each other lah. Kita jaga kita. We need to be connected so that we can be able to support each other. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know that tourism industry was the first to be impacted and probably will be the last to recover. And as our DNA in our business is depending so much on the people's movement, and we cannot move our people. We can't allow people to move. So I can see the whole industry collapse. And this scenario has brought most of the players what is called the ICU water. We are all in ICU. But to be fair, this is not only affect Malaysia, but the whole world. We thought we have gone through enough, Andy, in the year 2020, but we had high hopes that 2021 will be a good year to recover all our losses we had in 2020. But everyone knows that 2021 is another disaster year, or maybe even worse than that, worse than 2020. So today we would like to call upon our discussions among tourism players who are here today, and I would like to welcome every one of you to spend your time, precious time here in the evening. Yeah? The question is, are we managing the COVID-19 disaster well compared to other parts of the whole world? And tonight, Chong, and Andy and Datuk Andy, we are honored to have a special guest all the way from Putrajaya, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Mohd Redzuan bin Mohd Yusoff, Minister of Prime Minister's Department, who is in charge of special functions, to join our discussion. Before that, I would like to introduce all our panelists here. We have none other than Datuk Andy. Datuk Andy is here. Welcome, Datuk Andy. We have also Liz from the Spa Associations. I also have Tuan Amran from Bumitra Travel Agency Association. We also have Zahira, who is specialized on online travel agents platform. So today we need to be more positive, to discuss openly in positive way, and also we would like to encourage all the discussion to be all in manner. Be more ethics and to give out the points, because the outcome of this session is to understand better, to give a suggestion, a positive suggestions to the higher authority. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our special guests to the Clubhouse, Datuk Seri Mohd Redzuan. How are you, Datuk Seri? Alhamdulillah, syukur. Datuk Seri, tonight we are discussing about disaster management, and we need to ask ourselves, are we doing enough to manage this disaster, which affect the whole tourism industry? And not only Malaysia, but probably we can compare to other parts of the world. How do they manage? Maybe may I invite Datuk Seri to introduce and to speak on what actually, some of us, we don't know what is actually Datuk Seri's portfolio under this Prime Minister Department. A lot of us, we understand, we know that the Prime Minister Department is very important, but Datuk Seri have a special portfolio, and what is actually the special portfolio, Datuk Seri? Maybe Datuk Seri, you can introduce and also go ahead to the introductions on the disaster management, on your vision, Datuk Seri. Silakan, Datuk Seri.
Yeah, briefly, the portfolio is under the Special Function Minister, so-called. It's about managing disasters in the context of the agency under Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri. Okay, but when we first experienced the COVID-19, because the disaster, we call it a disaster beyond just a simple management of disaster by NADMA, we have to invoke ACTA specific act like MKN 20 and ACTA 342, and we have to elevate it to managing the situation by the Majlis Keselamatan Negara. So we are a subset of MKN when it comes to this level, and we have specific functions, basically to work together with MKN to carry out the task as we are supposed to in terms of managing disaster called today COVID-19. Now, NADMA is a small unit. When it comes to disaster management, we send with, or rather kita turunkan kuasa itu kepada jawatan kuasa, or we send down our authority to the council at the state level, committee at the state level, what we call jawatan kuasa pengurusan bencana negeri. But whatever it is, you have to come from Majlis Keselamatan Negara during the time when we try to manage COVID-19. The question is whether we are managing well today. It depends how you measure it. Are you measuring the numbers? Are we measuring the number of tests? Are we measuring the economy, the
in economy. So as far as we are concerned, when we talk about managing disaster in the context of COVID-19, we have to manage lives and livelihood. Okay? So anyone can appraise what happened today. If you do A, you're going to have a different result. We're going to have a different result. Because remember, we are fighting enemy that you can't see. Even today, no matter how tight the SOP, if the people are not working together with the government, because it takes two, then we will find it more difficult to manage the situation.
Yeah, I think that to say, I think most of us, we are actually from the...
Say again? Hello?
All right, Datuk Seri, welcome to the room.
It's very difficult for us to balance up the pandemic economy and the pandemic livelihood. But again, here in this industry, we need to move the people. We need to for us, we know that it's very difficult to open up the border. But in what way that Datuk Seri can advise us how to move forward from here?
First of all, we need to understand.
How can we move forward as we have now paralyzed almost 1 year and a half? Any advice, Datuk Seri?
No, if you want to move forward, definitely the government wants you all to move forward. Issue is, as I said earlier, whether you want to open up completely, right, and compromise lives rather than livelihood. Okay, it's a question of balancing it. We can open up, but will that create a situation where everyone is infected and then the entire economy would paralyze? And we know what we can do, we know what we want to do. The first instance, as you notice, when COVID-19 came to our shore, our PKP1, we just do immediate MCO. PKP1, if you remember, about almost a year ago. And we know the damage to the economy was about 2 billion ringgit a day. Okay? And today we try to minimize the impact on the economy by facilitating, when we move away from PKP1 to loosening the movement, what do we get? And with strict SOP, what do we get? Perhaps the government has got to do more than just try to clamp movement, but perhaps to facilitate movement. This is exactly where we are heading. We're trying to use data that we have today to structure certain methods, certain operational methods, so that we can all start moving. But more importantly today, at least you see the lights beyond the tunnel, whereby the vaccination progress is very, very encouraging. And we establish threshold values. And hopefully by doing that, when people understand the danger of COVID-19, especially when you have Delta variant today, then we can together move. Already we are discussing today to start to open up certain sector that has moved from phase 1 to phase 2 under our Plan Pemulihan Negara. At least today we got 3 states now to fast phase 2. For example, soon to be announced will be to open up certain sectors. Yeah, if you are vaccinated, for example, you reach a threshold of 40% by area, then we can start talking about opening up. It is important that the public understand what we want to do. It's easy to criticize, easy to think within your own community about what needs to be done, but it is difficult to align all these different community to have a freedom of movement for everyone. Tonight you're talking about tourism industry. And we know tourism is a very key element in our GDP. 16% contribution pre-COVID, and amount to about 103 billion from foreign and 86 billion local. Actually employment of 1 to 4, so to speak. Probably those in the tourism industry will understand better what I'm talking about. So today we have lost employment. Today we don't have tourists coming to the country. Today we have slow movement of mobilization of the local tourism industry to start to stimulate, regrow the economy. So inputs from the private sector is very, very important so that we can align our action plan to revive the economy, especially for the tourism industry.
Yes, Datuk Seri, correct. I would just like to share a part of the point of my view. Do you think that our MySejahtera tracing system work effective enough? Because as I know, seen from other countries, the tracking system are more efficient than like what we did. Because I think the tracking system should be done more effectively by using the MySejahtera app. Because as I know, the MySejahtera for the pull-through function that can trace if you are 1 kilometer, any infected person, 1 kilometer, they will announce it and alert us that this area within your 1 kilometer radius is an infected person.
MySejahtera started off when we experienced COVID-19. We were looking for tools to manage close contact. Basically, that's what it is. To manage people that has been infected by, at that time, for the first year, by manually uploading into the system. And then we have this close contact through area where you have been using QR code where you have to check in. And then the data is uploaded through the QR code. Okay, then it was a simple surveillance system that we will then share with the system Kesihatan Awam (SIMKA). But of course, there are weaknesses in the system. If any one of you can come up with a better system, then MySejahtera, I would welcome you to talk to Ministry of Mostly, so that you can challenge your system which is better than MySejahtera. As it is now, the system started as so-called CSR for the first year, and then Mostly expand the system to include other features.
Do we have a team on the MySejahtera to do the tracing? Because as I know, let's say I've been in the shopping mall, that the shopping mall affected the cluster. But the system never announces to go for testing, even though we visited the mall.
This is exactly what we are trying to do. I mean, for my unit, for my unit under JPM, we have NADMA. We have already got a system that can monitor real time and exactly identify those people that's infected, where they are, when we can extract. We do have that. The issue is how well can I present to the government as NADMA to start implementing it. For example, to improve situation, I'm trying to align NADMA and APM to use an apps, what we call Track APM, where we have a very wide usage in it. Maybe we can use it for Perbekasan community program that PM has launched, which I looked at as being not very effective as of today. So we try to so-called rejuvenate this Perbekasan community so that we can monitor cases more on real time. We know where people are going. We know their state of health real time. We know where the place they can or they cannot go. We can link it to what we call the height system, which is a data analytic
the big data.
Yeah.
But even though I'm a tourism and the general manager of the hotel, but I did study IT master, so I know that the system do collect all those data, and the data can be analytic to whatever, let's say a mall, specific mall that already have a cluster. So the data will trace out all those who visited the mall, then and call them up or force them or go AKKM to track them out to do the testing. That is very, the app is able to do that.
Well, for the time being, a group is using MySejahtera to collect data and to identify all those people that are positive and can certainly geofence it if they are so-called PKPD area. Then we can shut down the area, sanitize the area. But the issue with that is once you do that, for example, if I shut down pavilion using height with the data that you're talking about, the crowd will move to next door. I still generate crowds.
No, not to shut down. I mean, track the people out and go out for testing and self-quarantine if they are whether positive or negative.
Okay.
But
we are doing just that. That's why you notice today there are spikes of cases. Today down from yesterday 17,000. We are doing just that. So we are targeting those areas of contact tracers to have more testing to those people that we thought that's within that community.
But for my experience, I did go for let's say 7-Eleven. The 7-Eleven the next day closed down, but I did visit the 7-Eleven. But didn't call the my supplier or the KKM didn't contact me to do a testing. But I volunteered to do my testing. This is a problem.
Yeah, true. That I must admit because they are not exactly on real time.
Yes.
They are not really on real time. A problem is they are not linked together with KKM. I cannot extract. I cannot go to those guys to do testing. Okay? For example, you go to Parliament. I went to Parliament last week.
Yeah.
I got to do the testing, antigen, right?
Yeah.
I cannot upload it into MySejahtera. I cannot. But we will manually upload it 2 days later. But of course, I know my state of health by using the antigen test.
Thank you, Datuk Seri. I think the objective.
Let's other people to have a chance to speak.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your questions. The objective of tonight is to engage and to communicate and listen the industry point of view and openly and positively without blaming each other. Maybe if anybody want to share their opinions or questions to some guest. Redzuan, yeah. Of the
hello, hi. My advice is
silakan siapa nak tu kita one by one kita boleh okey dah tadi mungkin Syahil.
yes.
Kenalkan diri.
Thank you. Datuk Seri, Alex here from Langkawi. Good evening and thank you for appearing here, turning up here. Can you all hear me? Okay, Datuk Seri, I just want to ask, Datuk Seri, there are so many things or protocols coming up by all the various ministries. Why can't they engage us in the industries, Datuk Seri? I mean, get some feedback from us before implementing things that, some of us think it's not enough, some of us think it's enough. But there should be a balanced recovery for us, a slow and balanced recovery for all of us. They need to engage us more, Datuk Seri. I know you're the Special Functions Minister and overall a lot of things are under you. Maybe you could bring it up to your cabinet colleagues to have the private sector, not only just to the NGOs, but directly to hear us out. A lot of us, I mean not me, but a lot of others have very good ideas, Datuk Seri, just to help us come back.
Thank you, Datuk Alex. Thank you. Datuk Alex all the way from Langkawi. Yeah? Datuk Seri.
Okay, Datuk Alex. Let me say this to you. The Jawatan Kuasa Technical, when we discuss, I'm not in the Jawatan Kuasa Technical, but they bring it up to the MKN level, right? The upper, so-called the upper house. Jawatan Kuasa Technical has got people that's engaged with the private sectors, especially, for example, those people involved in the global supply chain, people that's involved in specific or rather significant area of economic sector in the country. They have various representatives that will talk to Jawatan Kuasa Technical, for example, for the purpose of establishing practical standard operating procedures. So we are doing that. If you have not been included through your association, I welcome your suggestion to be included into the Jawatan Kuasa Technical. I think you guys are represented. As far as I know.
Thanks, Datuk Seri. We are here in Langkawi trying to survive. There's so many things we can assist the authorities. in making things better. We're not looking for financial help, Datuk Seri. We are looking for engagement with the authorities to come up with a workable solution, Datuk Seri. That's all.
Yeah, but as much as I can be a secretariat to it. Okay, I suggest you should engage with Ministry of Tourism, which is relevant to the topic tonight. I'm sure she's working very hard, YB Nasir Shukri, to touch base with the industry, to understand what exactly can we do together, hands in hand, to sustain the tourism industry. I'll give you one suggestion. Langkawi, you are in Langkawi to elect.
Yes, that's right.
Come up with initiative and saying that the association will start vaccinating all the tour operators in Langkawi. Then you want to create a bubble. You're going to start open up for local tourism.
Yes, Datuk Seri, I mean, we have already submitted that, and they already, Mohd and Lada and District Office are already doing that. In fact, we are now, first dose almost 84% ready. And by the third week of August, we will be 80% double dose, Datuk Seri. Okay. But the opening up of the interstate...
By that time, you would have reached a level whereby you can move to phase 2. When you talk about phase 2, we start opening up. I think for phase 2, we're going to open up dining with strict operating procedure. For example, we're going to open up non-contact sport. Will be announced by the Prime Minister. But whatever it is, when you move into phase 2, even when you reach 40% herd immunity, you still have to adhere to strict procedure. Because why? Even if you are vaccinated today, the chances of contracting COVID-19 still exists in the community. So you still need to follow the new norms.
Agree.
Okay? So if you have done that, I will check up with YB Nasi in terms of the timeline when Langkawi can be opened up.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you, Datuk Seri.
Hope to see you here when we open up, Datuk Seri.
Okay, thank you, Dato' Alex, all the way from Langkawi. Maybe I can invite anybody who want to ask a question, relevant questions to Dato' Seri Redzuan. Dato' Tangga, are you there?
Yes, Zaidi.
Yes, go ahead, Dato' Tangga.
Okay, very good evening to all of you. At the moment, we have been talking about health and wealth or lives and livelihood. I do not know how well our government is balancing it. To me, if we are managing it well, then the recovery should be very fast. But that is not the case at the moment. So, to me, I find health, we are focusing too much on health. It is a short-term recovery, very good. But the death is today is maybe hundreds, 200s and 300s. But livelihood also has to be taken into consideration as a long-term plan and recovery. If we do not have a very good long-term plan, the death maybe 5 years time or 10 years time, the impact on this today might be the death will be more. So our health and wealth or lives and livelihood must be equally balanced. Not only for short-term recovery, it should be balanced for long-term recovery also. That is one point. And coming back to the second one, we are talking about travel and tourism industry, which has been designated as phase 4. If the current rate, if it is not going to subside or not going to go down, by October, we will not achieve the phase 4. So are we managing it well for us to have it in phase 4 below 500? That's my third. And the last one is about most of the countries have already introduced travel pass. So we can start planning and use travel pass initially for domestically so that people wanted to go to Langkawi, they can have some sort of a travel pass. That means you're vaccinated, you are coming from a green zone, you're automatically some form of identification or certification which allows you to travel to A to B. Both the same, we call travel bubble or travel pass or green zone. So these are the three things which I would like to point out. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Datuk. Please mute your mic, Datuk. Okay, maybe this is actually a very critical question. It's very difficult for everybody to answer this question, but perhaps has some some guidance or some lights on it. Those questions, Datuk Seri?
No, what you see today and what we are experiencing, it is unprecedented. Yes, we need to look at a long-term solution. If you look at the numbers today, don't just look at absolute numbers. If you look at today's numbers, 90%, hovering around 90% are stage 1 and stage 2. Percentage of death about 1%, quite consistent. As we test more, you will see more, right? Even the vaccinated people, you find some reports today are positive. More importantly, we want to look at our threshold in terms of capability to manage stage 3 and stage 4. That's our long-term solution, knowing that COVID-19 will remain in the community. That's why we are trying to accelerate the vaccination program. Okay? So, it's not about individual health, it's about public health system. We need to manage the 3 and 4 so that they don't die. This is what exactly we are doing. We are filtering our action now towards trying not to crowd our public health system. With the vaccination, for those people that have taken vaccination, you may still be infected with COVID-19, but the chances is you have 0 chance today, except remote cases of complication, that you will develop into stage 3 and 4. That's a good sign. There's a long-term solution to it. But we don't know, with the creation or the existence of variant Delta, we have to adapt to the changing environment that we are facing today. What do we do? Are we going to increase more beds? Are we going to increase more oxygen supply? Are we going to increase more ICU? Yes, we do. So that people can move, say, beginning after phase 2, to carry on with their livelihoods while we try to manage as best as we can through our public health system. Yes, travel pass, we are already instituting that procedure for people to travel using bubble. For example, if you look at today, you see people can travel from one place to another place. If you look in the context of politics, we have, say, parliament bubble. But the moment there are infection within that bubble, we have to shut it down. Likewise, if we have Langkawi, we can set up a bubble in Langkawi. There's no issue. We can adhere to procedures that has been drawn up with vaccination certificate and so on. We are trying to get people that have 2 doses of vaccination to move freely. But the only country that's achieved that threshold, state threshold today, is Perlis, for example, Sarawak and Labuan. Labuan is a good indicator, where they have reached a certain level of vaccination, where they follow strictly the SOP, the case has gone down tremendously, and we can start opening up. So our duty, my duty, and everyone's duty in Malaysia, you must work together with the government to understand what we want to do. Granted, some of it may still grappling to understand about COVID-19. That's our role. That's why we want to embark or enhance our effort in community empowerment. Say, for example, if you can create your own community in the tourism sector, we are prepared to work with you to empower you to regulate yourself in the tourism industry. For example, if you've got 30,000 people visiting Langkawi per day, how do you manage that together? How do you manage that together? Logistic. You want to get this new norm of not filling up the ferry? Are you going to comply to, say, half load of the plane with social distancing? So these are the things that we need to have feedback from you to better our approach in managing COVID-19. There's no one solution. We are prepared to look at based on trying to adapt to changing environment.
Datuk Seri, we have numbers of our tourism industry players all over Malaysia, and I'm so glad that every one of us are here today, be able to engage and meet up with Datuk Seri. Maybe we have a good suggestion to give to suggest to Datuk Seri. Maybe we have.
I just want to give you as an example how difficult are we trying to convince the community, say in the industry. We have strict procedures for example, manufacturing sector. They are irresponsible owners of factories, for example, and try to hide those cases. But they would say, for example, let one guy out of the factory going to the community. If that guy is carrying variant Delta, you will have hundreds of people in the community infected. So it's the empowerment to the community leaders is very important to understand the danger of the disease or the infection being spread. So we need to engage to understand the situation better through community empowerment. You consider it as one of the communities.
Very good point, Datuk Seri. Community leaders. Maybe Zaira, do you have anything to Zaira to add on?
Hi, Assalamualaikum Zaidi. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Assalamualaikum Datuk Seri.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay. What is your opinion about the Singapore approach? They have declared that they are going to stop announcing the numbers of cases. They are just going to treat those people with the critical or those people with comorbidities. And they want the people to accept that we got to live with COVID. And the same approach is being adapted in UK, US, and a lot more other countries. So what's your opinion? Can we actually, like what you have said, that there's only 2 to 3% cases which are critical, and out of that 15,000 or 17,000, and the rest are just stage 1 or stage 2. So once vaccination process is, we reach to 80% or 90% of the population, COVID is something that we got to live with. So what's your opinion on that? My second question is, like Datuk Tangga have highlighted, is like we need to know what's going to happen next. If we're going to open our hotel or our company or our attractions or whatever company that we are doing, we need a framework of recovery. We need the government to come and tell us, yes, you are telling us about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. But what is the plan A? If it happens within these 3 months, this is the plan. If it doesn't happen, sorry, this is the plan. Or else we are living in a very dark, we are living in a very unknown situation. We do not know what to expect. We do not know when we can reopen our offices. Should we keep on paying staff salary? Till how long? So there's a lot of questions in our mind here. So if you can address that. Thank you, Datuk.
Yes, thank you, Zaida. You talk about opening up. You talk about living with COVID. That's what Singapore has been doing. But you must remember, Singapore has reached the herd immunity. They have the data to indicate, with vaccination, you will not go beyond stage 2. You must remember, vaccination is very key in our process of recovery. Not sure whether, have you been vaccinated, Zaida?
Yes, I've got my second doses a month ago.
Okay, are you an employer?
No, I'm an employer.
So how many people in your employment has been vaccinated?
All of them.
All of them. Therefore, you can open up if your business involving receiving people. But at the same time, you must tell your client to do a real-time health check. That's a business that you're going to look at in the future. Because we just don't know whether there are another variants coming in. As much as we want to open up, we must be mindful about the aggression of this variant. Yes, 90 to 90% recovered from stage 1 and stage 2. Not more than 2% and every one time die. The numbers might be scary, but in terms of the rate of infection, that's our hope. So therefore, we are heading toward managing stage 1 and stage 2 once you are vaccinated, to have a bit of room for us to adopt, for example, like Singapore did, self-quarantine, or HSO. Then, by doing that, we will not be choking our public health system. We only focus to manage stage 3 and 4. Now today, if you notice, most of our public health system are being choked. We have people going to MIAMS just because they got stage 1 and 2, and we are worried. If that continue, that will amplify the situation if you put one group of, say, quarantine people in one place. So we are trying to decentralize it, including home quarantine. So yes, we will do that, but we are still analyzing the data. We is today hitting 7 million fully vaccinated, and hopefully we are hitting more than 40% in some state where we can ease up movement. So we are heading towards that. First, we got to enhance our vaccination program. I think we are one of the fastest in the world in terms of rate of vaccination, and the world recognized that. The reason why we cannot bring it up to a higher level of number of people vaccinated a day, simply because the supply chain, or rather our supply, does not come on time as yet. Whatever we have today, we try to bring as many vaccines as possible to this country to make sure we reach the herd immunity as soon as. The original schedule, by the way, was targeted by March 2022 for 80% of the population vaccinated. But now, if we are doing at the rate of we are doing today, we should be able to fully vaccinate 80% by end October. That's a good sign. And we have got result today by states, as I mentioned earlier, that's giving encouraging results. Selangor, I think, is improving, and 80% of the greater Klang Valley adult has been vaccinated, in fact almost 100%. So what you see today is managing those that has been discovered as positive, and yes, in terms of numbers, as I said, the deaths can be scary, but the good news is the recovery rate is improving.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our special guest tonight, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Mohd Redzuan, Mohd Yusoff, Minister of the Special Functions of the Prime Minister's Office. We welcome everyone to ask any questions to Datuk Seri. Maybe I would like to invite Tuan Zaidil. Tuan Zaidil is in the house, on stage. David?
Yes, thank you, sir. Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri.
Waalaikumsalam. You are from MKN?
No, sir, I'm not. I am from Hulu Kelang. I'm not from MKN, Datuk Seri. But I have two very short questions, if you don't mind. Is that okay, Datuk Seri?
Oh, if I can answer it, I will answer it.
Excellent, Datuk Seri. Thank you for being brave and sporting to be here. But my two short questions are as follow. Number one, the government is asking for business to adapt, cut down costs. Yet the government and politicians is not adapting. We have the largest cabinet in history, so many ministers in the Prime Minister's office, and 4 senior ministers, and now we have a deputy Prime Minister. Is that wasteful, or that we have incapable people running the show? My second question is, more than 90% of parliamentarians are fully vaccinated. Yet the parliament has a positive rate that is below 5% in terms of new COVID cases, and we shut it down for 2 weeks. Do factories and businesses follow the same procedure after this, or only the parliament do we shut down for 2 weeks with such a low positive rate? Are politicians' life more valuable, or do we need to turn parliament into factory to keep it open? Two very simple questions, Datuk Seri. Hope you can answer. Thank you.
Okay. Number one, whatever action we have instituted is based on the advice from Kementerian Kesihatan under Akta 342. They are the people that will tell us whether we should or we shouldn't shut down. In the case of Parliament, it's non-political because we have 70 cases in Parliament, and we have discovered some numbers are variant Delta. So what we do is the swift action by KKM to classify that area as PKPD, diperketatkan, and it will not be forever. Once when we have allowed it to go maybe 7 to 14 days, I'm not sure. We are doing some risk assessment now to open up Parliament. That's not an issue. I don't think we are going to shut down Parliament. We're going to open it up once KKM has made risk assessment because of the variant Delta that is discovered in Parliament. So they are concerned, if you don't curtail this variant Delta is said to be airborne. Yeah? So that's number one. Whether or not you ask me is the same as the factory are even more factories are being opened because we want to continue to sustain our economy, especially with regard to activity that involve the global supply chain. And we institute very strict procedures. Now, if any one of you here are doing manufacturing, for example, you come forward to the government and say, look, this is what I want to do to help the government. For example, if you have sick bay, do an interim or rather do a temporary quarantine place in your factory, because then you self-regulate yourself and demonstrate to the government we are handling it ourselves. Then we can, it's again community empowerment. Again, we can send representative there to put surveillance, not to punish you. Issue is people are very stubborn, slow in reacting. Yeah, I'm not blaming the people, but I'm blaming certain people that have caused this spike from the factory because they do not want to empower themselves, regulate themselves to their staff of maybe 500 to 1,000 people. And they're hiding it. For example, some of the retail outlets they have found, you know, the security guards, they know they're positive, but they're forced to come. So that will become an agent of infection to people that come to the retail center. I wouldn't want to name any marketplace, but that's what it is. So we are not trying to say the politics, parliament tutup, parliament buka, factory sana buka. We have every single details of it and what to do. Issue is, all the time, we need to improve, to facilitate. We don't want to institute punitive measure, but we need feedback from the community. And this session tonight, I must thank you, the organizer, for giving me opportunity to share our perspective from the government.
Thank you very much, Datuk Seri. Maybe I would like to invite Puan Liz, President of SPA Associations. Puan Liz, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for inviting me, Cik Zaidi. Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri. Liz here from Teratak Spa, Datuk Seri. Remember me?
Teratak Spa.
Okay. Datuk Seri ada satu soalan lah.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a situation, our industry, where authority doesn't have a mature ataupun common understanding about our industry lah. Spa, beauty, what is spa, what is beauty, what is wellness, what is kedai gunting rambut, what is barber, and all that. So, that's why sekarang ni kedai gunting rambut are allowed to open. And these services under spa, beauty, wellness semua ni, we have similarity. So, the most important is direct touch lah, kan? Memang direct touch punya industry. So, industry players semua confused why that kedai gunting rambut are allowed to open and the rest of spa, beauty salon are not allowed. Itu satu. Because kita bukan nak menidakkan, because we truly understand about the situation right now. So our players are not asking the government, please allow us to open. That is crazy. Betul tak, Datuk Seri, ya? Tapi we really need to understand from your view, from the inside, why such situation happen, Datuk Seri? Because we need to be treated fairly. In our sector ni kan, kalau if you're not allowed beauty salon to open, so across the board semua pun tak boleh buka. So the industry player nak faham why. Itu sajalah.
Thank you Liz, thank you Liz. Datuk Seri, I think kalau I can add on spa industry, I think they comprise of more than 300,000 Liz, entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yeah, 30,000. More than 30,000 entrepreneur.
That's huge. Comprised of banyaknya women, and also the ibu tunggal, and also the B40. So probably perhaps you can get some clearance from the advice. Datuk Seri, silakan Datuk Seri.
Yeah, okay. Before I answer that, is MKN guy in there? Siapa tu the guest? MKN.
Cik Hafiz ada sini.
Hafiz bagilah sedikit pendapat. I can sum it up. Tadi kita bermesyuarat sidang HAN contohnya. You go back again, moving forward. Kita kena align or rather understand plan pemulihan negara. It is not static, it's not rigid. Okay? Although we did say we've got 4 phases there. Phase 1 to phase 2 in terms of migrating to another phase where we can ease up movement, we can ease up businesses. For example, those areas or those sectors that has moved from phase 1 based on the threshold to phase 2. For example, we will allow non-contact activity. Okay, non-contact activity. So inshallah, in a couple of once we have defined again based on the meeting, our improved SOP because vaccination has come into the equation. Then we will announce it. For example, non-contact sport will be allowed for those areas that has moved from phase 1 to phase 2. Okay. Now, for the case of the spa industry, I'm not so sure the actual scope. If you're talking about just a haircut, there are clear procedures about how you're going to cut one's hair. Okay? If you're talking about, I don't know, beauty treatment, what does it involve? You're talking about going to the spa, go to the steam room, maybe it's non-contact. So something that we need to know, the industry, the representative as Datuk Alex mentioned earlier, is useful to be brought to the Jawatan Pasal Technical to go into specific areas. We have to work together on this. Otherwise, if you go on just simply, as you said, shutting up an industrial sector, that will not help, especially when you have 300,000 people involved in the spa business. Before I became a minister, I also have a small spa business, but now I shut it down.
Itu dia. Itu dia Datuk Seri. Datuk Seri ada own apa? Spa business
Dah tutup. Tak boleh berniaga, dah tutup.
Okay. Alright, maybe you would like to invite Tuan Hafiz daripada MKN.
Tadi Liz yang tanya tadi. Does that answer your question? Yang bertanya pasal spa business tadi. I think MKN is here. You can always engage with MKN. And what are the spa scope that you're talking about? Then we can zero in specific activity that are allowed, even if you are phase 2. But phase 3, I think we'll lose more. And for phase 4, I think you will see a lot of movement all over the country.
Maybe I would like to invite Tuan Hafiz if there is any points of
Spa tadi very very important because 300,000 people are involved, and especially the B40, the ibu tunggal dan sebagainya. It's very important to address this issue.
Tuan Hafiz.
Yes. Assalamualaikum. Good evening. Yang berhormat Datuk Seri. My name is Hafiz from MKN. Spark question itu maybe one you can engage more with Mohd for them to bring all the what we call demand from the industry to bring to the this technical committee meeting. Maybe the committee can decide something for the better of the economy of the entrepreneur. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to surf the internet to open the plan pemulihanegara.gov.my. We have all the long-term plan there, and maybe we have some adjustment according to current situation. And also, regards of this kilang, why we open up all these factories But also bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, every day the enforcement team has closed up the premises, factories every day. Those who neglect or fraud the SOPs, then the enforcement agency will take action. It doesn't true that we give some extra opportunity or privilege to factories, but also bear in mind the government, the enforcement agency also they take charge and close up all the premises and factories which does not follow the SOPs. Yes. Am I answering all the questions at the moment?
Please.
Okay, thank you, Tuan Hafiz. But for what we understand, we as players, that these two main associations, Spa Association, that is Association of Malaysian Spa and Mau Spa, has brought up this matter, I think many times. So I do not know when you said that we have to bring up this matter to Mohd. I guess this thing has been discussed over and over again and come to no ends about the one that I mentioned just now. Itu yang but tak apa, we will talk again to the hopefully to the M Spa and Mau Spa to stress on the technical.
Can I interject, please? Yes, your whatever inputs that you have from the industry has been looked at by YB Nancy Shukri. That's not an issue. All the ministry always convene the discussion. What's good for the industry? But issue here, we're trying to manage the data that we have today. It doesn't look good, but there are signs of improvement. So what I'm trying to say here is, we want to avoid contact. Spa mostly they are contact. Kita mengurut dan sebagainya, kita buat facial dan sebagainya. And especially when you have variant Delta, we're very mindful of that. We need to look at. We have the plan pemulihan negara macam Sarah Hafiz sebutkan tadi. Yeah? That is very important. If we can show with vaccination, with more responsibility, without having to enforce, we would then further facilitate. It is a very dynamic situation that we are trying to adopt, or action that we need to adopt. Today, as Hafiz said, and I have said earlier, not many understand about the need to adhere to SOP. What do we do? As I said earlier, we have to enforce. But if we can strike a balance where community understand, the industrial community understand, then we can migrate to facilitating, not enforcing, surveillance and facilitating rather than punitive measure I mentioned earlier. But we need until today still to institute punitive measure because of the difficulty of some people to follow for reasons that are known to us. And you said they are concerned, maybe they don't understand. Maybe the enforcement unit need to do more than just enforcing. They may need to campaign about having to adopt to the new norms based on SOP. So it is work in progress, I must admit. There are a lot of work needs to be done. The government is doing their level best. The last thing we want to do, we want to shut down the economy. That will not be good. The last thing we want to do, we're going to see people suffer on the street. That's the one that we don't want to face. We need to manage. This is a crisis. Therefore, all parties, whether it's the rakyat, the industrial community, whether politician, whether government, we need to come to the same page to manage it. If we have weaknesses, we need your feedback. And I said earlier, YB Nancy Shukri has been well informed, and they bring it up to Jabatan Kuasa Technical. That's the Jabatan will bring it up to MPN. They will have consensus. I cannot open up a spa industry if there are consistent spike of occurrence on COVID-19 infection, just to allow it to open. I may end up having the 300,000, for example, be infected. So we have to, if you tell me I can open up, and you can assure me by having facial massage, by having body massage will not give infection, then say so. But from our assessment, it does. So Liz, I hope you understand. We're not trying to curtail you, prevent you, or stop you from doing business. That's the last thing that we want to do. We want the industry to open up. We want the economy to be rejuvenated.
Thank you, Datuk Seri. I think it's a very good point of view. Maybe I will invite from Bumitra Travel Agency. Tuan Amran, are you there, Tuan Amran? Maybe you have another point? Any point of view?
Yes.
Silakan, Tuan Amran.
Terima kasih pengurusi Clubhouse dan khasnya host yang berhormat Datuk Seri. Saya ini memandangkan kita ni agensi pengembgaraan. Bila signal yang bagus diberi oleh kerajaan herd community by November boleh buka interstate. Saya nak tanya Datuk Seri dua soalan. Satu, kita ni ada outbound keluar negara. So kalau boleh buka outbound keluar negara antara anggarannya apabila capai herd community yang dianggarkan akhir bulan 10, apakah keluar negara kerajaan Malaysia akan membenarkan juga? Itu pertama. Kedua, ramai yang berminat keluar negara ni dah jadi confused berkenaan dengan recognition of certificate vaksin. So khasnya orang bercakap tentang Sinovac lah. Sinovac memerlukan satu lagi dos. Kalau memerlukan lagi dos dan ramai juga yang sanggup kerana nak keluar negara, di mana kita nak dapatkan dan bagaimana adakah itu safe dan keperluan sijil vaccinated daripada bagaimana untuk kita dapatkan. Boleh MKN dan Datuk Seri kongsi bersama. Itu saja pengurusi host hari ini. Terima kasih banyak Datuk Seri.
Terima kasih tuan-tuan. Mungkin ya, kita sebenarnya negara kita ni pengeluar pelancong yang paling besar, antara yang paling besar lah di Asia Tenggara. Di mana negara Jepun amat suka lah pelancong kita. Dia suka shopping, pelancong kita suka shopping. Dan pelancong ni dia mengatakan orang negara tu macam biasa je. Tengok bola macam biasa je. Pergi tengok G7 summit tu macam biasa je. Presiden mereka, Prime Minister UK macam biasa je. These are giving a lot of negative perceptions toward that. What is the actual situation? Maybe Datuk Seri ataupun Tuan Hafiz boleh rekaikan? Silakan.
Hafiz, you want to share some light with the question first?
Okay, sir. First of all, the vaccination tu macam mana, kita ni baru lagi dapat vaksin. Okay, and if you guys remember that at first Saudi Arabia cakap certain kind of vaccine dia tak iktiraf. Then later dia kata boleh masuk pula. Ini kita kalau dalam international relation nanti dia panggil inilah vaksin diplomasi dan sebagainya. Tapi apa pun bersabarlah tuan-tuan perempuan, kita sedang mencuba untuk memastikan semua vaksin yang kita ada tu boleh digunakan di peringkat antarabangsa. Untuk keluar negara, percayalah, believe me, tuan-tuan perempuan, the government sebenarnya memang kalau boleh memang nak back to normal. Unfortunately, our data, our cases does not allow us to do that yet. But we are going to that situation according to our plan. And maybe itu sajalah buat masa sekarang. Thank you.
Thank you Tuan Hafiz. Thank you.
Ya, boleh saya tambah sikit ya. Untuk pengetahuan, Kementerian Luar dan juga MOSTI bawah YBKJ sedang bertungkus lumus to understand what's the requirement from other countries in terms of what kind of vaccine acceptable. Tapi pun saya sarankan, tak ada isu pun kita nak keluar negara. We don't stop you from going out. Okay? But issue is, will the country receive you? The moment you leave our border, you say they reject you, you come back. You have to go to our internal procedure. Contoh, as of today, sebelum kita semak semula dalam masa terdekat tentang cross-border movement tadi, you have to observe 14 plus 7 days quarantine. That's not good. Katalah you pergi ke UK, you semak hari ni, you can go to the website, NHS advice for the case of UK. They tell you where we are today, whether they can receive you, they cannot receive you. What vaccine that you having? Sinovac ke, Sinopharm ke, Pfizer ke, AstraZeneca ke, Johnson & Johnson ke, Sputnik. They have those lists there. They will tell you. Those are rulings set by the receiving country, the destination country where you are going. So this is a G2G relation that we establish to understand what their requirement, right? Likewise, we will reciprocate their arrangement with us. So it is ongoing. So if you want to leave, for example, I must say 2 nights ago, my niece and family left for Dubai. No issue. They just leave for Dubai to stay there for a couple of months. By that time, maybe they can come back after we open up our border with lesser or less strict compliance to the procedure because you are vaccinated. So situation is not us that is in fully control where you should, where shouldn't go, what vaccine to take. We are trying to achieve our herd immunity as soon as possible to allow movement within borders in our country, within district. We're trying to loosen the blockage, so to speak. Those people that, for example, if you got vaccination certificate, they're probably the SOP if they have a mobile roadblock. If people do spot check, we don't want to all the time block the roads for you to travel. It's so inconvenience, you know. So we know the situation down there, but at the same time, we are responsible government to make sure, although we have risen up to 17,000, now we see it's coming down to 15,000, and we know we're still maintaining good numbers in terms of recovery. We are focusing on the stage 3 and stage 4. Then things will get better, inshallah. But we need cooperation from the community.
Okay, very good. Very good.
If I may add some more.
Ya, silakan.
Just like you said just now, Mr. Uzaidi, tengok bola boleh je, tengok tenis jalan boleh je. Yes, that's right. But they have more than 70% people in their country vaccinated. And some more, even if we can remember during the first game, Euro 20 game, we have full capacity of stadium in Hungary, where all the people, the Hungarian, volunteer and willingly to get vaccinated because of football. And maybe we are going towards that. And later, and as stated in the Plan Pemulihan Negara, maybe we can achieve that someday. Maybe end of this year or before end of this year, inshallah.
Inshallah. Amin. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you, when you talk about Europe, they opened up, right? You see people not wearing masks. Who watched Formula 1 last night? The Formula 1, you see the
I did.
The racing circuit was full of people, right?
Yes,
they control movement. They have received vaccination for most of the population. They control movement by what? They will encourage people to use public transport for them to control better. They don't encourage people to drive on their own to the race circuit. This way, they know people movement where they're going. So while they have vaccinated, they still follow the new norms. They institute way of managing yourself when you go from one place to another place. These are the little things that we need to do in this country.
Yeah, I think that you have a point, Adusri. In fact, even MotoGP in Sepang, we actually induct. If let's say we can practice, we can follow those best practice in Europe. Perhaps we can revive back our sports events here in Malaysia.
Inshallah. The non-contact sport will be revived very, very soon. Badminton, tennis, what else? Those are non-contact to start with. We will revive, we open up soon, inshallah.
Okay, thank you, Datuk Seri. Maybe I would like to invite Mr. Isis. Isis, are you there, Isis?
Yes, Tuan, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Silakan, yes.
Okay, a very good evening, Datuk Seri and everybody. Okay, Datuk Seri mentioned that 16% of our tourism, our GDP is actually by tourism. And it is actually the third largest contributor to the economy of Malaysia, where you said 100 billion from international tourists and 80 billion local. It may not be a very big sum of 180 billion, but I believe the number of people involved in tourism, whether it is international as well as local tourism, goes by the millions, because it is related and linked to every single thing, from hotel to cars to transportation to petrol to everything. So my question now is, since the government is saying by end of October we will have herd immunity of at least 80%, so meaning that the country will be safe by then, by end of October. Let's say by 1st of November, the government will announce that, well, we have got herd immunity, which is very, very important to have open skies, open or thing. Now my question is, when is the most likely date that interstate tourism can start for those who have taken both doses, meaning we are already having herd immunity? Because we need to know the exact timing. What is the government going to plan for this? Because I believe being third in the so-called economy, a contributor, and millions of people involved, all of us are dying. So if we cannot open the international skies, that is okay. 80 billion with millions of people involved, I think it's important to actually address how to help us to survive. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. That's my question.
Thank you. Understand. That's why, as Hafiz said, look at the Plan Pemulihan Negara. It hinged on our migration from phase 1 to phase 2. It is not rigid. You can always change the threshold if you want to. But more importantly, we're not looking at even 80%. We are looking at 40%. Then we have all the vaccination. We will allow partial opening of certain tourism sector on a targeted basis if certain areas has reached to phase 2 and phase 3. And I think you need to look at the PPN. Then you can follow that, and there will be a definition when we will open up again of October. Okay, we are looking at that seriously, because we don't want this industry to be dead forever. We want to open up, for example, Langkawi. We want to open up Pulau Pangkor. We want to open up Genting for those that want to have entertainment and gambling. We want to open up the East Coast, Pulau Perhentian dan sebagainya, to allow local tourism to start to thrive again. Let's have that understanding. But more importantly, for the operators, I say again, it is important, as a marker. All of you that's involved in the industry, start to push for as much as possible to get the operators get vaccinated. Okay? Once when we get the numbers, then we know that yes, you can open up your hotel. But hotel today, as you see, is not as strictly closed. It's just that you don't have the people to move to occupy those spaces. Yeah? And we are trying to help wherever we can. So if you can look at the PPN and look at phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, you will understand the stage of opening that we define as we head toward herd immunity. 80%, yes. But as we get to phase 2, we will open up sector by sector. Okay?
Thank you, Datuk Seri. Maybe time's against us. Maybe I can allow one or two questions. Tuan Anwar, Tuan Haji Anwar, are you there? Tuan Haji Anwar, Deputy President of PITA. Silakan. Cepat sikit.
Assalamualaikum, Datuk Seri. Assalamualaikum, Datuk Hafiz. My name is Haji Anwar. I've heard all the conversation just now. I know the government is working very hard to save the situation, and especially for the tourism industry. I carry my hand. Okay, we are doing a very hard and difficult job. But I just would like to ask. I don't know the main person are here. Can I know from where this Delta variant came into our country? And our doors are not shut properly, or our SOPs at the airport, at the port, at the borders are not shut properly. If we have done a good job like PKP1, okay, PKP1, we went through, we managed to bring the cases of COVID down, but why now we cannot do? Okay? I think so, Datuk, let me talk. Hold on, boss. We have talked about opening of industry. If the economy is not open, we will not survive. I think so. If allowing this thing to go on like this, Datuk, I think so. We all won't survive at all. I think so. I think so. We should take care of our entrance for our country first, and find out the key problem from where this variant come in, and we have to close down Malaysia as we close down at PKP1, strictly closed down with army and police, and then we will bring these cases down, and we'll think about the domestic later. When we become better, then we can take care of the international. We have been sitting down for the past 2 years. Okay, things is getting bad to worse. I hope you all are more highly educated, more experienced than me. This is my feelings. I think so. I just was just sembang kedai kopi lah. Dari mana datang Delta ni? Dan macam mana dia boleh masuk? Dulu kita tahu ada mamak datang daripada South India bawa, tapi sekarang macam mana dia masuk? Adakah kita punya check stringent dekat mana-mana pintu masuk? Kena pakai ISO lah. Kalau ada report COVID-19, mesti daripada satu ni, kena genuine, kena original, baru boleh masuk kan. Kalau dia masuk dekat airport, dia negatif, tapi lepas 2-3 hari dia masih ada, dia boleh bagi pada lain orang pun. Itulah pendapat saya. Minta maaf kalau sekiranya so this is my concern. Can we go back to PKP1? Never mind, we can stay 1 month. Okay, I think so. Setakat in Malaysia, we can get food to eat, but we don't want to continue like that. Thank you, Datuk. Thank you, Dr. B. Thank you very much.
Hi, can I give a question as well? Actually, a few from the...
the question is where the variant Delta originated. I don't have the exact date, where it's originally come from. As far as I can remember, it came from Brazil, it came from India. Whether it come from Brazil to India, India to Malaysia, I can't give you an accurate answer. But you must know also, this country is populated by foreign workers. And our borders are, I must admit, is pretty porous. Yeah. So the best that we can, Kenyan will try their best to plug all these potential leakages. Okay. Now, if you look at our own way of managing this situation today, we are trying to do a lot of contact tracing to find out where the cluster come from. And I think the variant Delta, for example, has been identified to come from somewhere. Yeah, from somewhere. I can't give the exact location where it come from. Obviously, if it started from India, it started from Brazil, it must gone through the border. Okay, this is where it is important, where we have the contact tracing mechanism to trace who are bringing this virus. And we know now today, although I don't have the data with me, where it come from exactly, who bring it in. Through our system that we have, not only we have MassJatra or SIMCA, we also now improving our tracing mechanism by having what I call, for the community use, inshallah, God bless, a system called tracking using community empowerment, what we call track APM. That's something that we are discussing today, whether we should adopt it and fully utilize it to empower community. In other words, they know who are they talking to, they know who are they have engaged, they know where they have been located on real, or they have been so-called interacted with people on real time. That's something we try to improve every day so that we can manage the situation better. If you're asking me to completely shut down for another 2 weeks to 1 month, yeah, I'm not sure that will be effective. And if you notice China today, I received the latest report, the variant Delta has gone to China and they suddenly blocked one city, no movement whatsoever, try to determine where it comes from. So we might do the same, but all this will be action by KKM under Acta 342 because they are the expert to understand where the variant Delta coming from, or even other Lambda, whatever. There are other mutations that we cannot even forecast. We never thought variant Delta will come. So it's something, as I said earlier, whatever we do, we have to adapt to the changing environment and give the right priority to address the situation. Okay. Now, closing down, as you suggested, will cost the government, as we have experienced in PKP1, will cost the economy about slightly over 2 billion a day. Now, our focus today, we understand, as you said, can we survive or not? Yeah, that's a very key point. The B40, the people that's today from M40 has gone down to B40, people B40 has gone to poverty level. Poverty level is 2208. If your income below 2208, you are considered poor. And then you must remember the economy, the consuming sector for essential goods, for example, today. Malaysians spend 270 billion a year for essential goods. Now, if you measure that against under PPN, how much fiscal injection that we have put in over the last 2 months, yeah? Over the last 2 months, if you look at today, close to 50 billion, that's almost the same as about what you spend prorated on the total consumption by the B40 for essential goods. That's why you notice government spending money to subsidize your position in terms of livelihood. Yeah? While you try to, we know that B40 do not have much saving. We understand the situation. That's why we are injecting finance into or injecting funds to help the B40 to sustain that consumption level that I just talked about. 270 billion a year, there is the consumption level that we have from the B40, just to buy essential goods. Okay? So we understand the situation, I must say, better than other people because we have data. Trust me, we are managing the best we can so that whether we institute another MCO or we're going to partially open to allow our economy to sustain. So I hope that answers my question.
Thank you very much. Hi, moderator.
Hi, sir. I have a very quick question.
Can I get one person? Mr. Aaron? Aaron, are you there? Aaron?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Speaker Uzaidi. Good evening, Datuk Seri Redzuan. I'm Aaron. I'm representing Global Mark Holiday. Our company have over 100 drivers currently not working because of this COVID pandemic, and I do understand that the government is working very hard on this, and I do agree earlier what Datuk Seri had said, that the containment and also regarding to the tracking and so on. But I'm just wondering, Datuk Seri, that because that currently the government is focusing on Klang Valley, that the vaccinations on Klang Valley, maybe Datuk Seri, just my suggestion to Datuk Seri, and Datuk Seri may bring up to your cabinet colleague that how about regions around the Klang Valley, like Bentong, they tend to come to Klang Valley for work, and people tend to go to Bentong for tourism as well. I believe a lot of Klang Valley tourism sector get a lot of contribution from the Bentong area, right? And also not just Bentong area. How about like Pokdison, all this area? They bring up a lot of tourism cash for the government, because these are the large industries are surviving at. And secondly, Datuk Seri, I also agree that the containment is very important. And earlier, Datuk Seri mentioned that foreign workers may be the cause of the Delta variant. But is there any action from the government regarding to this, that maybe government could contain the foreign workers at maybe, like you said earlier, that they are coming out from irresponsible like factories. The employers are being irresponsible and they did not contain it well. Is there any action from the government that the government may take action that just block them or something like a PKPD or block the foreign workers from coming out to places like KLCC where a lot of Malaysians are around? And following that, maybe the government could do a vaccination passport for people who maybe they want to go to like shopping malls and anywhere around, and also like a vaccination passport when people want to go for tourism, they apply through, like earlier, Mohd have this, that any of the people want to go for travel, they could apply, they could book through any of the travel agency. So you have the travel agency as a middleman to filter the visitors, the tourists, and so on.
All right, we're going to do better than that. Number one is vaccination certificate is already there, can be uploaded into MySejahtera or any other system that can be linked together, whether SIM card, track APM, or any other system that we are looking continuously how to improve managing movement. Okay? Now, why I say better, not only you will be carrying vaccination certificate to allow you to cross border, right? But also, we have already approved a number of RTKs, antigen self-test kit. We have to be responsible for our own health. If I want to leave home, I can do my RTK antigen test before I go to work and upload immediately into the SIM card, to MySejahtera or Track APM, and we know on real time the state of your health. Basically, we don't want carrier on the street. You're saying that people moving from Bentong to Klang Valley or to Klang Valley to work. Yeah? Community is encouraged. Although we have not instituted as a procedure as yet, we are encouraged to test ourselves, our test kit. Today, what we have done in the past PKP1, we check symptom, we check temperature, we allow supermarket to open. Now, anybody can go supermarket, which is regulated by the supermarket themselves. You want to come into our store, make sure your temperature is down. Make sure you're using face mask. Make sure a certain numbers of people is in the retail outlet. We're going to do better than that. While we're instituting that same procedure, we're going to allow movement. If the community themselves understand, I have to be healthy, I don't want to be a carrier when I move from Bentong to Klang Valley, that can be read into the system kesihatan awam. Therefore, we know the movement of people. Then we can manage the situation better. This is what we're getting towards that. For example, MDA has approved about 5 to 6 RTK antigen. We cannot push that responsibility strictly PCR test to the government, because as we get more people vaccinated, and I said earlier, and DG Kesihatan already said that vaccination does not give you a foolproof guarantee that you will not get COVID-19 because the existence of various or other variant of concern. And you still, but the good news is, once you are vaccinated, you will only have symptoms with stage 1, stage 2. Then we can better manage the situation. If I'm at home, as I said earlier, I want to go to Putrajaya, I test myself for 15 minutes, and I know I am negative, I'm comfortable to go to work, and I'm comfortable to talk to people while I'm using my double face mask, for example. Yeah. So this is the empowerment that we want to bring to the community, so that they work together in tandem against the SOP set by the government, against some of the procedures. For example, the need for you to go to Johor, then you will have a random check that you already got a vaccination certificate to facilitate movement. That's all I can share with you today, but there's no one single method of trying to fight this, because it keeps changing, and want to change it for the better, not for the worse. Okay, for people to sustain their livelihood. Thank you.
Hi, Chief Zaidi, IB here. May I give my suggestions to the minister?
Sorry, you are running out of time. Thank you very much for fantastic suggestion here today.
Datuk Seri,
Better so we can be able.
I give you one suggestion. I just want to wrap it up. I got to go. One suggestion. One example in the tourism industry. Say a lot of people flock Genting Highland. You want to open up Genting Highland. I will encourage the operator where you have your gantry to stop people from going. Make sure people display on Mas Sejahtera 3 p.m. Today on real time they are COVID negative. Alright? Then we know that nobody who is positive go to Genting Highland. That's empowering you to institute a better procedure other than waiting for government to do PCR test for a couple of days before you can move.
Okay. Alright, thank you very much.
Thank you, Datuk Seri. Thank you, Datuk Seri.
Thank you all.
It'd be good, Datuk Seri, if everybody, if there's better communication between the government and the rakyat. It will help us. What we have done today, we explained so many things that were not clear. So it'd be great, Pawan, kalau your colleagues in cabinet pun boleh buat macam itu, Pawan.
Boleh. I akan cadangkan. As I said, in the MKN, they are represented by community leaders, especially industry. Those that's leading various community, I encourage to continue their input to the government. I've engaged myself with the American Chambers of Commerce, with the European Chamber of Commerce, and Chambers of Commerce myself, and try to understand what they want in order for them to sustain the existence of global supply chain.
Datuk Seri, bawa members of cabinet datang ke Clubhouse. It's an open platform. Every rakyat can express and we can have engagement. Seriously speaking. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
kita jaga kita, hidup diri, hidup semua. Pawan ada. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Everybody, okay, alright.